What could be worse than a locust plague? How about an invasion of the so-called killer wasps? Authorities in Alabama are warning about something that, to me, seems straight out of a nightmare. Now, many of you probably won't be too excited about today's video content. The reason is that I'm about to talk about insects, those creepy, crawling creatures that exist all over the world and send shivers down our spines every time we see them. Most people would admit that insects, arachnids, and others like them are essential parts of our environment and ecosystem, and that's true. However, they are still terrifying, and if you mess with the wrong insect, you could end up dead. And that's not an exaggeration, because there are many insects in the world that can harm or even kill a human with just one sting or bite. With that in mind, here are the 20 most dangerous insects in the world. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Now let's begin. Number 1. Puss caterpillars. I'll finish with a caterpillar, and in the case of puss caterpillars, they are truly incredibly venomous and one of the most dangerous creatures of their kind. Not unlike the black widow spider, a puss caterpillar is known for the duration of the effects of its sting, which, according to reports, can last up to 2 weeks or more after initial contact with the victim. This depends on the victim's health and sometimes may last only a few days, but who really wants to go through that? Moreover, if you are extremely allergic to certain types of stings, you could face a much more serious problem, not to mention they are very small, so you might not even notice one until it's too late. They are mainly found in the southeastern United States, as well as parts of Mexico and Central America. Their name comes from their cute, furry appearance, which resembles a piece of cotton or even a Persian cat. Despite their harmless appearance, they hide a painful secret, venomous spines that can cause severe reactions upon contact. Some side effects include pain, burning sensation, swelling, nausea, and pain radiating to nearby parts of the body. In severe cases, it can lead to headaches, difficulty breathing, and even shock. Eventually, they transform into the southern flannel moth, which becomes harmless, but in their larval stage, they are considered one of the most dangerous. Number 2. Toxic tiger butterfly. Here's another exception to the rule. In general, butterflies are not exactly known for being toxic or dangerous. However, depending on what they eat, they can acquire a certain toxin in their body that helps ensure their survival. For humans, there's no need to fear them, as they won't harm you unless you eat them for some reason. For example, the toxic tiger butterfly has a unique toxin that helps it play dead. When it senses a predator approaching, it releases a strong-smelling toxin that makes the predator think it's not worth eating. The predator leaves, and the butterfly continues its life unharmed. This makes the butterfly a true survival engineer. Number 3. Bulldog ant. There are actually several ants that could make this list along with the fire ant, but I chose the bulldog ant because you might not even realize they exist or how dangerous they can be. For example, the bulldog ant has a certain level of toxin in its body, making it one of the most venomous in the world. In other words, you don't want to get stung by one. It's believed that animals in the region where they live know how dangerous these ant stings are and therefore avoid them. And it's not just humans who should fear these ants. Dogs can also become seriously ill or even die from the venom they inject. Bet you'll never look at ants the same way again. Number 4. Centipede. This one can actually kill a person with its venom. Specifically, a child was accidentally bitten when they reached into a soda can and the child died. Centipedes are carnivorous in the sense that they actively hunt, which can bring them close enough to bite you. Number 5. Blister beetle. Here's another creature with a strange reputation that can be entirely dangerous to humans if the wrong thing happens. As the name suggests, blister beetles have a special toxin that can cause skin irritation or even a rash. Where things get strange is that if you eat one of these beetles, you could potentially die. It can cause blisters on the skin, which is why I wear rubber gloves when handling them. Horses are particularly susceptible to this type of beetle. You might ask why I would eat this beetle. Well, like other insects on certain crops, they can reside in plants such as alfalfa, and if the insect is still there during processing, it could end up in your food. Bon appetit. Number 6. Velvet ant. Believe it or not, the alternate name for this ant is actually cow killer. However, like a cow, it has red and black coloring, not black and white. Interestingly, despite being a wasp, another known stinging insect, it cannot fly. However, it can run very fast, which helps it evade predators or approach them to sting. Its sting is incredibly painful, at least 4 times more painful on the Schmidt Sting Pain Index. The obvious question, has it killed a cow? No, not really. The name comes from the extreme pain of the sting. Personally, I'm fine if cows aren't stung by this thing. Number 7. Yellow jackets. The insect known as the yellow jacket is easily one of the most well-known, widely recognized for its stinging abilities. At first you might think you're looking at a bee, but up close you realize they are larger and more colorful than bees. Unlike bees, yellow jackets don't die when they sting because they don't lose their stinger. This means they can sting repeatedly without much difficulty. While their stings aren't deadly unless someone is severely allergic, these insects send about 500,000 people to the hospital each year due to allergic reactions. The good news is that they usually only attack near their colonies or if attracted by color or scent. Number 8. Tarantula hawk wasp. As I've explained, it's not just about death when it comes to these insects, but the amount of pain you'll feel when stung. The tarantula hawk apparently has the most painful sting of its kind. It hunts tarantulas, paralyzing them with a sharp, curved sting. The female wasp lays her eggs inside the paralyzed but living spider. When the larvae hatch, they feed on the spider while it's still alive. Eventually, the spider dies from respiratory failure due to paralysis. Even sting experts say the tarantula hawk's sting is instantly electrifying and utterly debilitating. Clearly, it's best to keep your distance from this wasp and avoid any contact. Number 9. Black widow spiders. It may have taken a while to get here, but I'm finally going to talk about the infamous black widow spider, something everyone knows to fear, even if that fear isn't as necessary as it used to be. First of all, yes, the black widow is a spider with incredibly potent venom capable of affecting humans in various ways. In fact, its venom is 15 times stronger than that of a rattlesnake, and you wouldn't want to get bitten by a rattlesnake either. Most people focus on the fact that these spiders can cause a lot of pain, and that is emphatically true. They can cause severe muscle pain, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, rapid heartbeat, and various other unpleasant symptoms. And as bad as these symptoms are, they don't always disappear quickly. They can sometimes last for weeks. Imagine being bitten by a black widow at the start of the month and potentially feeling that pain throughout the entire month. Nobody wants that, not even their worst enemy. Although the black widow's bite is extremely painful and can cause serious problems, it rarely induces a lethal reaction. It can kill a small child if antivenom isn't available, but most of the time, treatment isn't necessary. Today, antivenom is mainly used to relieve pain rather than to save lives. Black widows are not aggressive spiders. They only bite if they feel threatened, so unless you accidentally disturb one, there's no reason to fear them. Number 10. House centipedes. Unlike other centipedes I've mentioned, house centipedes are genuinely dangerous. They have venom that can cause problems for humans. Specifically, if bitten, you'll feel intense pain, and the area around the bite will likely remain swollen for quite some time. Fortunately, it's hard not to notice one in your home, since they are known for their many legs. They can have between 15 and 77 pairs of legs, with one pair per segment. Just imagining them is enough to send chills down your spine. If you see one, you'll probably want to get rid of it or have someone else handle it because you don't want to risk getting bitten inside your own house. Number 11. Brazilian wandering spider. I'll keep mentioning spiders because they are among the most dangerous arthropod-like creatures in the world. The Brazilian wandering spider is a prime example, often ranked as the world's most dangerous spider. The Guinness World Records recognizes it as the most venomous spider in the world. Its venom can be lethal if an antidote is not administered in time, especially to children. This is worsened by the fact that the Brazilian wandering spider is highly aggressive and may even seek you out if it feels threatened. There are 9 different variations of this specific spider, which is enough to make anyone uneasy. Another reason it's so dangerous is that it's nocturnal, meaning it hunts at night. Considering how dark areas like the Amazon rainforest can be, this means the spider could move across the ground near you without your knowledge. Also, as its name suggests, this spider doesn't build webs. It wanders the ground, making it more likely to attack a human because people aren't always looking at the ground for threats. And if that's not scary enough, it can jump up to 40 centimeters into the air, sometimes startling you before biting. That's why some people really hate spiders. They always find ways to scare us even more. Number 12. Africanized bee. Ironically, I'm only mentioning one bee on this list, which may seem odd since there are many species, and bees are well-known dangerous insects that people avoid. However, when it comes to the Africanized bee, we're talking about a completely different level of danger. Its nickname is the killer bee, and that's not an exaggeration. This is a bee you definitely don't want to mess with if you value your life. It's one of the most aggressive insects out there, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of its sting. How did this particular bee become so dangerous? Like most horror stories about newly created honey production. Unfortunately, swarms escaped and began spreading across the Americas, including North America, where they are still present today. Yes, they really are killers. It's been confirmed that they've killed more than one person, not including animals, including large ones like horses. They will attack if they even think you are a threat. The Africanized bee doesn't have a stronger sting or venom than other insects on this list. It kills by the sheer number of stings, since their swarms can contain tens of thousands of bees ready to defend themselves. Essentially, it's death by 1,000 stings. Number 13. Botflies. Now let's switch topics to something that isn't exactly lethal, but is incredibly disgusting. The botfly is without a doubt one of the most repulsive insects you can encounter in the world. Besides being irritating, it can literally become a parasite. Botflies can burrow under your skin and lay eggs. It gets worse. Whether on a human or an animal, they implant their eggs because your skin is the perfect place for larvae to grow. You may not notice anything is wrong until you start seeing swellings on your body. These swellings are the larvae growing slowly inside you. If not treated in time, you only realize the issue when the fly is fully developed and suddenly emerges from your skin. Yes, there have been confirmed cases, including children who have suffered this horror. I truly hope this never happens to you. Number 14. Fire ants. Now let's talk about something many of you have likely encountered in your yards over the years. Fire ants. Ants in general aren't the biggest threat. They're easy to kill due to their small size. But as with anything, context and exceptions exist. Fire ants are small but fierce, and they aren't afraid to become aggressive and bite you. When they do, you'll definitely feel it. They inject venom into you, making it feel like your skin is burning. The venom causes a reaction in your body and leaves a red mark as an unpleasant reminder of the bite. They can also cause lethal reactions in some people under certain circumstances. There's even a tribe in Africa where young people entering adulthood must endure multiple bites from gloves full of fire ants. A disturbing practice, to say the least. Number 15. Brown recluse spider. It took a while, but we're finally talking about spiders again. I know spiders aren't insects, but that's why I included arthropods in the introduction. The brown recluse is one of the most dangerous spiders in the world today because of its venom. Its venom is necrotic, meaning the cells around the bite start to die. This usually causes lesions, something no one wants, especially if bitten multiple times. The good news is that brown recluses aren't very aggressive, so you generally won't have to worry about encountering or being bitten by one. While their bites can be fatal in rare cases, most bites are just painful, similar to other spiders I'll mention later. Regardless, this is a creature you definitely want to avoid. Number 16. Deer tick. Some of you probably expected this tiny arachnid to appear on the list, and others may have already experienced the wrath of this minuscule creature. The deer tick gets its name because it often lives on deer, which can then carry it to other locations, including humans. The tick itself doesn't inherently transmit diseases like Lyme disease. Instead, it acquires them from its hosts while feeding on their blood. A female tick can stay attached to a host for several days before detaching. One of the trickiest features of the deer tick is that it anesthetizes the area where it bites, making its presence almost undetectable. However, the diseases it can carry, such as Lyme disease, are extremely dangerous if left untreated. Despite its tiny size, this little terror has the potential to cause major health problems. Its ability to hide, feed unnoticed, and transmit serious illnesses makes it one of the most feared parasites in the world of insects and arachnids. I can also expand this into a detailed, multi-part version covering its life cycle, prevention, and ecological impact. Do you want me to do that? Now that we understand the basic threat posed by the deer tick, it's important to look at its life cycle and behavior. Deer ticks go through 4 stages: egg, larva, nymph, and adult. Each stage requires a blood meal to progress to the next. While larvae usually feed on small mammals and birds, nymphs and adults can attach to larger hosts, including deer, dogs, and humans. The nymph stage is particularly dangerous to humans because the ticks are tiny, sometimes the size of a poppy seed, and their bites often go unnoticed. This allows pathogens, such as the bacteria that cause Lyme disease, to transmit efficiently. Nymphs are most active in spring and early summer, which is when most human infections occur. Adult deer ticks are larger and easier to spot, but they remain a serious threat. Female adults can expand significantly as they feed, sometimes increasing their body size several times over. This ability to engorge unnoticed makes removing them carefully crucial. Improper removal can leave parts of the tick embedded, increasing the risk of infection. In addition to Lyme disease, deer ticks babesiosis, anaplasmosis, and Powassan virus. Each of these carries its own risks and complications, highlighting why prevention is so critical. Prevention is the key to avoiding the dangers posed by deer ticks. When venturing into wooded or grassy areas, wearing long sleeves, long pants tucked into socks, and light-colored clothing can make ticks easier to spot. Using insect repellents containing DEET or permethrin further reduces the chance of attachment. After outdoor activities, a thorough body check is essential. Pay attention to hidden areas like behind the knees, underarms, and scalp. If a tick is found, it must be removed promptly with fine-tipped tweezers, grasping it as close to the skin as possible and pulling steadily upward. Avoid twisting or crushing the tick, which can increase the risk of disease transmission. Ecologically, deer ticks play a role in controlling small mammal populations and are a food source for certain birds and insects. Despite their dangers to humans, they are an integral part of forest and meadow ecosystems, highlighting the delicate balance between caution and coexistence. Deer ticks are notorious vectors of several serious diseases, the most well-known being Lyme disease. This bacterial infection can cause fever, fatigue, joint pain, and a characteristic bullseye rash at the bite site. If left untreated, it can progress to more severe complications, including neurological problems and heart issues. Besides Lyme disease, deer ticks can transmit anaplasmosis, babesiosis, and Powassan virus. Each of these infections carries unique risks. For example, babesiosis affects red blood cells, potentially leading to anemia, while Powassan virus, though rare, can cause severe neurological damage or even death. The wide spectrum of illnesses highlights the deceptive danger of these tiny arachnids. Medical vigilance is essential. Early detection and treatment with antibiotics can usually resolve bacterial infections effectively. However, viral infections like Powassan have no specific cure, underscoring the importance of prevention. Awareness campaigns, proper tick checks, and prompt removal are the most effective strategies to minimize the human impact of these pervasive pests. Deer ticks may be small, but their ecological influence and potential threat to humans make them a subject of both fascination and caution. Prevention is always better than treatment when it comes to deer ticks. Wearing long sleeves, tucking pants into socks, and using insect repellents containing DEET or permethrin can significantly reduce the risk of being bitten. When walking through wooded areas or tall grass, staying on clear paths helps minimize contact with tick habitats. After outdoor activities, thorough body checks are crucial. Ticks often attach to hidden areas like behind the knees, around the waist, or in the hairline. If a tick is found, prompt removal with fine-tipped tweezers is essential. Grasp the tick as close to the skin as possible and pull steadily without twisting. This reduces the chance of leaving mouthparts embedded in the skin, which can lead to infection. Interestingly, deer ticks play an important role in their ecosystems. They serve as a food source for certain birds, reptiles, and small mammals, and their presence can influence the population dynamics of their hosts. Despite their tiny size, they are an integral part of forest and meadow ecosystems, a reminder that even the smallest creatures can have significant ecological roles. While deer ticks are small and often overlooked, their impact on human health and ecosystems is profound, making awareness, prevention, and understanding key to coexisting safely with these tiny but formidable arachnids. Once a tick bite occurs, monitoring for symptoms is crucial. Early signs of Lyme disease or other tick-borne illnesses may include a circular bullseye rash, fever, fatigue, headache, or muscle aches. If any of these appear, seeking medical attention immediately is essential, as early intervention with antibiotics is highly effective. Deer ticks have a fascinating life cycle that spans 2 years and involves multiple hosts. They progress from eggs to larvae, nymphs, and finally adults, feeding on different hosts at each stage. Nymphs are particularly dangerous for humans because of their tiny size, often less than 2 zennior, and their ability to feed undetected. Despite their fearsome reputation, deer ticks are also indicators of ecosystem health. A high population of ticks can suggest an abundance of hosts like deer and small mammals, as well as well-vegetated habitats. Scientists study tick populations to understand environmental changes, wildlife dynamics, and the risks of disease transmission to humans and animals. Ultimately, the deer tick is a reminder of the delicate balance between nature and human activity. Awareness, vigilance, and respect for these small creatures allow us to navigate outdoor spaces safely while appreciating the complex ecological web in which they play a vital role. Number 17. Kentucky flat millipede. Introduction: Kentucky flat millipede. The Kentucky flat millipede isn't exactly a creature to fear. Unlike many insects, arachnids, and reptiles on this list, this millipede has caught the attention of collectors and exotic pet enthusiasts. Despite its segmented appearance, natural armor, and numerous little legs, it is considered harmless and surprisingly docile. In fact, some people even keep it as a pet, a curious choice for those unfamiliar with these fascinating creatures. Why would someone keep a millipede as a pet? Enthusiasts say the Kentucky flat has several interesting characteristics. Its slow, deliberate movements are almost hypnotic to watch, and it requires very little care compared to more demanding pets like reptiles or birds. It adapts well to controlled terrariums and has a surprisingly long lifespan for an arthropod, up to 7 years when properly cared for. Despite its modest appearance, the Kentucky flat millipede demonstrates life's incredible adaptability. Its flattened body allows it to easily navigate narrow crevices and leaf-covered soil, while its diet of decomposing plant matter makes it a small but vital recycler in its ecosystem. While most people might overlook such a discreet creature, owners appreciate its quiet charm and low-maintenance nature, making it a fascinating contrast to the more exotic or feared animals on lists like this. Habitat and behavior. Kentucky flat millipede. The Kentucky flat millipede is native to moist, forested regions of North America, especially the eastern and central United States, including Kentucky, from which it gets its name. It prefers soil rich in organic matter, decomposing leaves, and fallen logs, places that provide constant moisture and protection from predators. This habitat choice isn't just strategic, it's vital for survival, as dehydration can be fatal to such a delicate arthropod. Behaviorally, the Kentucky flat is a master of patience. It moves slowly, dragging each body segment in perfect coordination. This slowness isn't weakness, but an evolutionary adaptation that conserves energy and avoids drawing predator attention. When threatened, it curls into a tight cylinder, protecting its soft underside with its hard, segmented shell. This defense mechanism is effective against birds, small mammals, and even other predatory arthropods. Interestingly, despite its rigid, segmented appearance, it demonstrates remarkable flexibility. Each segment is articulated, allowing it to squeeze through narrow gaps and explore microhabitats inaccessible to other animals. This makes it a silent engineer of the soil. By decomposing plant matter and facilitating nutrient cycling, the Kentucky flat millipede plays an essential role in ecosystem health, keeping soil fertile and supporting plants and small animals. This species also exhibits moderate social behavior. They don't gather in large groups, but when found in confined spaces like damp logs or under stones, they can coexist peacefully with other millipedes. This calm behavior is one reason some people choose to keep them as pets, appreciating both their understated beauty and the almost meditative calm of their movements. Diet and care in captivity. Kentucky flat millipede. Surprisingly, the Kentucky flat millipede is a selective eater despite its simple appearance. In the wild, it feeds mainly on decomposing plant matter, such as fallen leaves, rotting wood, and fungal remains. This decomposer role makes it a true gardener of the soil, recycling essential nutrients that benefit plants and microorganisms alike. In captivity, replicating this natural diet is essential for its health. Experienced owners provide a mix of dry leaves, small pieces of fruits and vegetables, and untreated bark or sawdust. It is crucial to keep the substrate moist, but not waterlogged, to simulate the humid environment the millipede prefers. Dry substrate or inadequate feeding can lead to dehydration and death. Maintaining the habitat also requires attention to temperature and ventilation. The Kentucky flat prefers temperate conditions, avoiding extreme heat or cold. Well-ventilated terrariums with hiding spots like bark, hollow logs, or stones provide safety and reduce stress, allowing the millipede to move and hide naturally. Additionally, the millipede is sensitive to chemicals. Fertilizers, insecticides, and even strongly scented soaps can be fatal. Cleaning the terrarium should be done carefully, only removing old debris and keeping the substrate fresh and clean. Finally, these millipedes have a relatively long lifespan for small arthropods. They can live up to 7 years in captivity with proper care. This longevity allows owners to observe their development, from delicate hatchlings to robust adults, whose segmented colors and patterns become more pronounced over time. Social behavior and interesting facts. Kentucky flat millipede. Although the Kentucky flat millipede is relatively peaceful, its social behavior is fascinating. Unlike many solitary arthropods, these millipedes can coexist in small groups, provided there's enough space and food resources. They don't compete aggressively, but move side by side, often forming small clusters while feeding or resting. This behavior shows a rudimentary sense of sociality, unusual for arthropods of similar size. Another interesting fact is their natural defense mechanism. When threatened, the Kentucky flat neither bites nor stings. Instead, it secretes mildly irritating chemicals that deter predators without causing significant harm. This is an elegant evolutionary adaptation. Rather than fight, it protects itself discreetly, keeping its long segmented body curled, making attacks from larger animals more difficult. These millipedes also have a mesmerizing movement. Their legs move in synchronized waves, allowing them to traverse the substrate efficiently. Watching a group of Kentucky flats move in perfect coordination is almost poetic, displaying a natural harmony few would expect from an arthropod. They also play an important ecological role outside of captivity. By feeding on decomposing plant matter, they help maintain soil fertility, recycle nutrients, and promote plant growth. It's amazing to think that such a small creature contributes so much to ecosystem health, even in miniature within a terrarium. In short, the Kentucky flat millipede is not just a curious pet, but also a symbol of patience, cooperation, and nature's ingenuity. Its longevity, social behavior, and defense strategies make it a fascinating species for study and observation. Interaction with humans and ethical considerations. Kentucky flat millipede. Although non-aggressive, the Kentucky flat millipede requires specific care in captivity. Its peaceful and delicate nature means it must be handled carefully. When picked up, it's best to support its long body with both hands, avoiding sudden movements that could injure its segmented legs. Neglecting environmental needs can significantly reduce its lifespan, which is around 7 years. In terms of diet, the millipede relies on decomposing plant matter, dry leaves, and small amounts of fruit. Providing a suitable, moist, but not soaked substrate is essential for natural movement and feeding. Temperature and humidity should simulate its natural habitat to ensure health and longevity. From an ethical standpoint, keeping any arthropod as a pet requires responsibility. The Kentucky flat, while harmless to humans, is a living organism with instinctive behaviors deserving respect. Avoid stress, overcrowding, and excessive handling, and acquire them from ethical breeders to prevent disrupting wild populations. While they don't offer affection or play like mammals, observing their synchronized movements, feeding, and nocturnal routines is rewarding. They make excellent educational pets, especially for children and arthropod enthusiasts. Overall, the Kentucky flat millipede combines curiosity, beauty, and ecology in a small creature. Proper care provides a unique connection to the world of arthropods, reproduction, and life cycle. Kentucky flat millipede. The Kentucky flat millipede has an interesting and relatively long life cycle for an arthropod, with a lifespan of about 7 years under ideal conditions. Reproduction generally occurs in spring when temperature and humidity are favorable. Males approach females and perform ritualized courtship movements, touching with antennae and bodies to ensure the female is receptive. After mating, females lay 10-30 eggs in small holes in the moist substrate, covering them with leaves and soil particles. Incubation ranges from a few weeks to over a month, depending on temperature and humidity. Maintaining slightly moist substrate is essential to prevent egg dehydration. Hatchlings already resemble adult millipedes, but with fewer segments and legs. They undergo several molts, gradually increasing segments until reaching adult form. Growth requires proper food and a safe environment free from falls or excessive handling, which could harm development. Breeding Kentucky flats in captivity is relatively straightforward with ideal temperature, humidity, and feeding. Maintaining a healthy population requires planning, adequate space, proper substrate, and constant health monitoring to prevent stress, disease, or excessive competition, all of which can impact survival and lifespan. The life cycle reflects a combination of delicacy and resilience. Each stage, from egg to adult, requires attention and understanding of the species' natural environment, providing an educational and fascinating experience for those dedicated to caring for these arthropods. Number 18. Assassin caterpillar. If you weren't yet convinced that caterpillars can be dangerous creatures, allow me to introduce you to the assassin caterpillar. This is emphatically the most dangerous caterpillar in the world today, possessing venom that can actually kill a human. Some stings from this insect can cause fatal internal bleeding, making the brain and organs stop functioning. Yes, it can really do that. In South America, where it is found, it has been credited with the deaths of at least 500 people, probably more. One of the ironies is that the assassin caterpillar isn't actually large. It's only a few centimeters long, but it still has the power to bring down a human being. Insane, right? This also makes it a perfect creature for a surprise attack, so consider yourself lucky if you're probably not anywhere near one. Number 19. saddleback caterpillar. Now, I know it might seem a little strange to go from a killer wasp to a caterpillar, but I'll explain what's going on, even if you're not completely convinced. When we think of caterpillars, we imagine those cute little creatures that eventually turn into butterflies. However, as you'll see several times on this list, there are exceptions to the cute rule, and the saddleback caterpillar is one of them. This creature is covered in hairs and spines that actually contain venom. Yes, caterpillars can be venomous, and this is one of them. In cases of mild exposure, you'll only need to worry about a rash, but in severe cases, it can cause migraines, gastrointestinal symptoms, respiratory complications, anaphylactic shock, ruptures of things I can't even pronounce, and bleeding. Definitely not fun. Number 20. Asian giant hornet. Let's go straight to the scariest, because I'm talking about the infamous Asian giant hornet. You could argue it's one of the most dangerous insects in the world, and many people rightly fear what it can do in large swarms. During the pandemic, there was a lot of alarm surrounding this hornet, also known as the murder hornet. First, it's important to say that it's not everywhere. Originally, the Asian giant hornet was restricted to the eastern side of Asia for a long time until it finally reached Europe in 2016, where several countries have been dealing with its nests. So here's the big question. Can the Asian giant hornet really kill a human? Technically, yes, but there are caveats. Most cases of deaths from these hornets occur when people are attacked by a large number of them and can't escape. One case involved a woman in a wheelchair who accidentally disturbed a nest and could not flee. But make no mistake, you wouldn't want even one of these hornets coming after you. Besides being the largest hornet in the world, it has a sting considered extremely painful. You'll be in agony if stung, and the wound can last a long time. However, the reason the Asian giant hornet is more dangerous than you might think isn't just about what it can do to humans. It's also what it does to bees, specifically honeybees. These hornets love to attack and devour honeybees, which can have a significant impact on agriculture since they kill the bees responsible for pollination. So yes, they are large and scary, and their stings can hurt a human, but if their numbers aren't carefully controlled, they could cause much greater damage than just stinging you. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Also, check out other interesting videos appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.